Re-elected U.S. President Trump plans to implement a massive 25% tariff on Canadian goods the day he comes back into power.
The higher the tariff, the more likely it is that the company will come into the United States and build a factory in the United States.
Is this all bark and no bite? Will he push us into a recession?
Own your life.
Let's start with the basics. What are tariffs? A tariff is essentially a tax placed on goods being imported into a country. The idea is to make those imported goods more expensive, giving domestically produced goods a competitive edge. Sounds simple, right? But the ripple effect can be far-reaching, impacting businesses, consumers, and even entire economies. Now, let's talk about Trump's plan. He has proposed implementing a 25% tariff on all goods coming into the United States from Canada. That is a massive increase, and it could touch nearly every product Americans import from trading partners like Mexico and here in Canada. To put that into perspective, let's look at an example. Imagine an American company importing a car that costs $30,000. We're going to keep currencies completely out of this for now. With a 25% tariff in place, that car now costs $37,500. How tariffs impact consumers. When a government imposes tariffs, it's important to understand who really ends up paying the price. Technically, tariffs are a tax on companies importing goods into the country. For example, if a 25% tariff is placed on imported products, those businesses suddenly face a significantly higher cost for those items. Now, here's the key question. What do companies do with those increased expenses? They certainly don't just absorb them. Instead, they pass them along to us, the consumers. That means the higher cost of importing goods gets baked into the final price of everything we buy, whether it's food, cars, or household items. In effect, those tariffs act as a hidden tax, making everyday essentials more expensive. And this, my friends, is what we commonly refer to as inflation. Printing money isn't the only way to cause inflation. It's not just businesses that feel the pinch. It's all of us. Why does this impact Canada? You may be wondering, okay, Jesse, this tax is a tariff tax on goods coming into America. So obviously those prices increase and they will be passed on to Americans, but how will that impact us here in Canada? Well, instead of just hearing it from me, let's hear what Pierre Poilievre has to say about the impact of U.S. tariffs on Canadians.
The United States is the greatest economic and military superpower in the history of the world, and they are our neighbor. The U.S. is responsible for $1.2 trillion of our trade. We trade almost twice as much with the Americans as we trade with the rest of the world combined. Trade with the U.S. is 40% of our economy. President Trump yesterday made an unjustified threat of a 25% tariff on our already weak and shrinking economy.
So what can Canadians expect from this tariff? Higher prices for Canadian products. Canadian businesses that export goods to the U.S. will face higher costs due to this tariff. To make up for those losses, they may raise prices for their products here at home. This means that everything from food to lumber to manufactured goods could cost more for Canadians, if that's even possible. Job losses and economic slowdowns. Many Canadian industries rely heavily on trade with the U.S. If tariffs reduce demand for Canadian goods, businesses might cut jobs or slow down operations. This could lead to economic uncertainty and job losses across sectors like manufacturing, agriculture, and energy. Retaliatory tariffs. Historically, when the U.S. imposes tariffs, Canada responds with its own set of tariffs on U.S. imports. This means Canadians could face higher prices on goods we import from the U.S., such as fresh produce, household items, and other consumer goods. Impact on the Canadian dollar. Tariffs can weaken demand for Canadian imports, putting downward pressure on the Canadian dollar. A weaker dollar makes imported goods from the US and other countries more expensive, further driving up costs for Canadians. Here's the big question. Is Trump really serious about following through with this policy, or is it just a strategic positioning move? Historically, we've seen him use bold claims like this as leveraging in negotiations. Remember, during his first term, many of his threats were meant to force concessions and ultimately led to renegotiated trade agreements rather than full-blown tariffs.
President Trump's trade tariffs on Canada are sparking retaliation. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau promising comparable tariffs on the U.S.
Polite, we're reasonable, but we also will not be pushed around.
Only time will tell if this is a genuine policy or another tactical move. For now, Canadians and the rest of the world will have to watch closely to see how this unfolds. Either way, the implications of this proposal are something we can't afford to ignore. That's all for now. Call me anytime with your skill testing questions. Grab a copy of my best-selling book, Rockstar Real Estate Investing, on Amazon for more in-depth knowledge. I'm Jesse Johnson. See you soon. Bye-bye.